how do you really follow up without making it seem like you're just going for the meeting, you know? So you obviously have the initial conversation, you have the notes, and maybe they're broke at the moment or situations are going through. So like, how
Yeah.
do you have that second conversation without going, hey, are you not broke anymore? Or, what's the situation like
Are you
now?
not broke anymore? Well, first of all, I'm glad you realize that's the bad way to do it. So that's good. But yeah, I would say, look, so when it comes to following up, so I'm assuming this is somebody you've had a full-blown conversation with, and you've realized they're probably not a good candidate for the program. It's going to require some time, right?
Yeah,
So it's something along those lines. Uh,
definitely.
so with somebody like that, actually, let me send you a resource to help you. So what I want to do is I want to set a piece of accountability to see if they can be resourceful, right? That's going to be the first thing I want to do is because I don't just want to qualify people for what they have, but I want to qualify them for what they could get, right? And that can mean anything in the future. So what I'm going to do is if I go to so I've actually got it on one of the accounts I'm coaching on, so I'm going to try and find the doc for you. There we go. So this is a document that there's a couple of sales trainers in the space. If you guys know Brian Choi and June Choi, um, there are a couple of good guys. I know I worked with Brian at seventh level. They produced a document that's basically called 53 ways to gather the funding to actually find a way to get into the program. Right. So it's just like 53 ways, 54 ways to make money, essentially. So if anyone's like in a broke position. So I've put the document in the Zoom chat if you guys want to save it. What I'd recommend with it, it's you want to create a level of accountability at the end of the call. When you disqualify, obviously you want to be very polite about it. Like, hey, so it seems as though based on your current situation that what we do would not make sense as far as the next stages. So I wouldn't be comfortable personally to set you up or with one of our coaches on a call. However, I want to, realize that right now you're in a situation that's not permanent. It's something that's very temporary, right? And I guess, do we have the willingness to actually work towards getting out of that situation? Because that is very much a possibility for you, right? That's the first thing I want to check mark. Is there an openness for them to actually get out of their situation, do something different? Because if someone's in a fixed mindset, they're very much like, I'm broke, things are bad, the economy's bad, Trump's doing me over, I hate Joe Biden, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Like that person is just not going to make changes. So if they can first be open to making changes and being resourceful, that's the kind of prospect I want to speak with and commit my time to, right? So what I would do is get their buy-in. That's the first objective. Second thing is then introduce the resource and say, hey, so in order to actually work with us to get started with our program so that you can get towards those 10K months you're looking for, now we do have a resource which for me it's called the 54 the resourcefulness document, the 54 ways to gather the funding for our program. Right now, this document will help you get creative and help you figure out ways to eventually start working with us. Right. So this document, basically, I'd like you to go through it over the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to catch up with you in 2 weeks' time to make sure that you've managed to at least take one or two steps towards progressing towards getting the funding together. Right. If I was to send that document over to you, would you commit to going through it and taking some action in order for you to reach your goals? If you can't commit to that, then I'm afraid I cannot help you. Right. So even going towards the negative at the end, I just want to make sure at least they can commit. So that is what I would do. First and foremost, definitely, use that document, send it over to them so they've got something there. It feels like they've at least got a resource and you've given them some value off the call. And then literally make sure that you book in a follow-up time in 2 weeks, right? Make sure that's fully booked in. They've got it scheduled and say, hey, so would there be anything at all that would prevent you from going through it and being able to commit to an action step before our call on in 2 weeks' time? No, you sure? You're 100%? Because this is a big step, right? We're about to work towards hitting your goals now, right? Like kind of challenge them and make them realize this is big. It's them changing their lives, right? Not from the moment they get into our program, but it's like they're making a decision to do something different to escape from their situation. If they buy into that and you get full conviction from them, awesome. Set the call up and go, right. So I'm going to call you back in 2 weeks' time. Let me know how it goes. Keep me updated with your progress over Messenger, and I'll reach out to you in 2 weeks' time. Cool. Leave it amicably. And then when you do reach out to them again in 2 weeks' time, I then would want to just set the cadence on an initial outbound call and be like, right, so how's it going? First of all, like, did you manage to have a look at the document? Cool. And from that document, what progress have we made so far in order for us to reach our goal of getting into our program? They'll tell you what kind of things they've done. Sometimes they'll make excuses, or they'll be like, oh, I haven't really looked through it or anything like that. From there, you just want to, help them get towards that accountability again, because you've already set the cadence from the start of like holding them accountable. So they're okay for you to hold their feet to the fire. So I would be like, well, I mean, you mentioned on our call last time that you were committed to making changes in your life so you can work towards 10K a month. And right now, I mean, I'm not really seeing it. Like, is it really important for us to do what we need to do to get out of our current situation? Otherwise, if it's not, then I'm afraid I don't think there's much I can do for you. Right? Then from there, you're literally pushing them back, taking it away, seeing how much they really want it from there, and then kind of make it the last straw. Hey, like if this is the case and you're really not looking to do it, no issues. Like you don't have to do this, by the way, and that's okay. You can still do what you're currently doing, right? Based on our conversation, I know you don't want to, but it's still fine if you continue to stay in the same place. So like, what do you want to do from this point? Right? And you're kind of giving them a crossroad, you know? It's that saying when the rubber meets the road, right? That's the situation that you put them in. And then from there, if they commit, give it another 2 weeks. Right, I'm going to reach out to you in 2 weeks' time, and I better hear that you've made some progress. If not, it'll be the last time I reach you. And then from there, it's like you're playing the role of the coach at that point, right? At least getting them to make progress. So that's a very, very long answer for you, Joel, but I hope that helps. I'll definitely probably go through the recording again with this, but that's what I would do for anybody that's like broke, and I can tell they're resourceful. I'm not going to do it with everyone I disqualify. But if I can see that there's that real hunger from them and I can see they really want to do something about their situation, like you kind of feel that with the connection with the prospect, definitely use this exercise and that should help them. And it may be the difference of getting one or maybe two extra deals over a few months, who knows. But the more you do that with prospects, the bigger your pipeline builds as you're in the role for longer, if that makes sense. So yeah.
No, it makes sense. I think what I'm lacking is that I just send them like resources without necessarily. I just tell them, okay, cool, I'll send you these resources and we will reconvene. But I don't actually put accountability on that or like a necessarily a timeline. So I think that's where
To be
I'm missing
fair,
out.
sometimes the resources, maybe if it's introducing the concept more or a testimonial, they're not really helpful. They don't really help people take an action. It just helps them to have more belief in what this is about, which that's not what they need if they're logistically broke. They don't need more belief. They already believe in what you do and they like what you do and they're committed to a change, but they just don't know how to do it. So like giving
Yeah.
them that funding doc is what gives them ways to be creative and be resourceful and actually take an action. Right. And that's what I want. And so like that's probably I would say the most effective way to at least get someone to progress towards getting the program because it's the financial situation that's holding them back. And sometimes resourcefulness, but this gives them no excuse because you've given them all of those resourcefulness ways, right? But yeah. Cool. That's it. Does that help?